Ready to start another day, and I got lucky. The rain that I was worried about passed through last night. Always have a bike cover. Keep that seat dry for that first time you sit on. Headed north. Here there's some Indian reservations. We'll have to see what they have. Hello there, and welcome to another motorcycle log. This time we're pushing from Sidney, Montana, further into Montana and ending up in Harve, Montana. But I guess this was bound to happen. It's impossible to kind of go out west and kind of ignore the historical markers that just start to talk all about the Native Americans and the interactions that would occur and the events that would occur with them. Some are sad, some are more sad. But here goes. If you're wondering where I am, well, so am I. As you can see here, I made a stop. This is Fort Union. Now, as you would suspect, Fort Union, you would think, was a military outpost of the Indian Wars. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was a trading outpost. It's an interesting reminder to the fact that for the vast history out here, there wasn't an Indian war. In fact, they spent most of their time trading with the Indians. It wasn't until settlers started coming out and actually settling and fencing off the land that the wars actually started to begin. Till then, outposts like this were the farthest stretches which allowed them to trade with the Indians. They mainly trade for buffalo hides, buffalo furs, buffalo tongues. Everyone likes to obsess over the wars, but there was a long history with the Native Americans long before the wars actually began out here. Out there is the Missouri River, kind of like the start of it. As you can see here, it's a memorandum. It's a memorandum about how smallpox that was inadvertently or overtly carried by the Europeans One thing you can actually learn heading out west and making the stops is about the history of the Native Americans. They don't do a real good job in history class, and that's mainly because there weren't any like big battles other than like 2 or 3 Little Bighorn, Wounded Knee. And a lot of it get kind of lost and glossed over because it's not very poignant. There's not a lot of spots to it, but out here you can find out if you're interested. And it's more interesting than you think. That actually got to the Native Americans and decimated their population. Now, it's unknown how many exactly it killed, but numbers are probably unlikely to be very good, because probably very high from the fact that they had never been exposed to some of these diseases before. Estimates anywhere for 2 million Native Americans in the country, up to as much as 10 million Native Americans at the time. Could have as much of culled as many as 50% of that population. But as for the ride itself, this is the ride of Big Sky. They call this kind of the Big Sky State, and you can see why. All around you, 360 degrees, horizon as far as you can see. It is open riding, and I tell you, I've never seen so many motorcyclists out who are going significant distance as I did on this ride. Route 2 is the top of the nation. It's right next to the Canadian Saskatchewan province. The only reason I know Saskatchewan province is because it's kind of a funny name and I remember it from school. It's not considered to be a very warm place. It's considered to be cold. This place is mired in winter that I'm not sure I want to see. This display here, the Bear Paw Battle, kind of displays why the Indian Wars were so unknown to most people throughout history. They know they occurred, but they don't know too much about them. It's because, as we would know them, we would call them skirmishes from like the Civil War or other things. They weren't protracted, decisive movements as we kind of tend to know things as. There was no front, there was no, grounds that had to be conquered or taken. They were kind of more movements of small interactions with a few that momentous moments that we all know so well. And this is kind of the tragedy. It's because it's not as, flamboyant a history that tends to not make the pages. But it's still an important thing to discover. And at least it's documented to some degree along this trail. Well, as you can see here, they have a sign marking for buffalo country. As you can see, these great plains where the buffalo used to roam by the millions. But also describes to them kind of a thing that a lot of people overlook. While the buffalo were central to their way of life, kind of the way most people picture the Indians is wrong. The thing that people forget is that the horse is not native to North America. And that people who see pictures of horses with Indians riding on them is actually historically inaccurate. They didn't get the horse until 1700 when they migrated across from escaping from European pens. So when settlers first got out here in the 1800s and the traders, the Indians really had only had the buffalo, the Indians had only had the horse for about 100 years. And while they did take to it very quickly, they all rode without saddles. And here I am at Fort Peck, which is the 5th largest man-made lake of the world. Now, if you're looking for a location of this is northern Montana. And the beauty of it is, it's mid-August, while the rest of the country is sweltering in heat. It is very comfortable 70 degrees here right now. Gotta love it. Feel no shame. there are small towns here, and if you look closely, I'm about to pass one. Don't blink or you'll miss it. This is a town that's maybe 100 people. I didn't see a town marker which gave the population, but it's gotta be small. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see the next journey.